My name is Jaime Crespo. I am a cartoonist, writer, and male model, obviously. I've been doing this, getting paid, actually. The first time I got paid was about not quite a year out of high school. And now I'm going to be telling almost my age here. That means I've been doing this officially this year for 40 years. And I did strips. I had two different weekly strips. I do mostly comic books and mostly autobio and some biographical, mostly slice of life stuff, which I really like. And it can touch on my Latino and Native American heritage, but also all the subcultural, garbage I've done and continue to do, from surfing and skateboarding to the early punk scene, which I'm working on a story over here right now. And all that sort of stuff. And I hope to continue doing it until I can't anymore. And right now I'm working on a graphic novel and the next issue of my comic book Tortilla. My work has evolved as anyone's work has. I started as a kid. I was a teenager, and now I'm 22. And no, but so it has evolved in that sense. The story ideas have also evolved. When I first started drawing, it wasn't so much in writing. It wasn't so much about myself as I was trying to, like every kid, you're trying on different shoes, so to speak, and see what fits. So I was never a superhero guy, but I did do a couple superheroes that were goofy ones, though, that weren't serious. Like like Wino Man or something like that. Of course, nobody remembers what a wino is anymore. And kind of move through things like that. I did some biographies on Emiliano Zapata, on Jim Thorpe, surf guys and stuff. And then as time went on, I started realizing some of the stories around me that weren't necessarily about me, but people I knew or situations I was involved in. And right around that period is when I first saw Harvey Picar's work. And him and I ended up becoming dear friends. He was kind of a mentor of sorts. And since we were both kind of traveling the same way, but he was the leader. And it's just from that point on, it's still that way, but it's just, the work is just more tight and it's a lot slower because I'm, especially in the COVID days, you could tell by my beard, I'm doing illustration gigs too to pay the rent and things like that. So I get interrupted a lot, and I have an attention span where you can jangle car keys and I'll be like, ooh, shiny, so. But that's, I think, is kind of how it's just like everything's just kind of tightened up and gotten deeper. And lately I've noticed I've been delving more back into my childhood and my past and my younger years. Where am I at? Boy, well, I'm like most people should be, is I'm indoors. I'm stuck indoors. And now I like a lot of cartoonists and illustrators that are probably watching this, and my peers, I do this for a living. So the shelter in place wasn't too much of a difference, but it was in the sense that unlike a lot of my peers, since my stories are biographical and autobiographical, I go out and do stuff because I have to be a part of the stories and create the stories or find the stories before I can come back and report the stories. So that's really put a squeeze on it. And my illustration work, boy, right, is, probably like, it wasn't even March, it was April. Everything just started screeching to a halt because all the people I do work for were, okay, we're reconnoitering now. We have to reconfigure things. Things are changing. So that's been kind of a pain. And I also find that, yeah, I'm getting really kind of finally getting stir crazy. And it's, I don't know, I know it's going to sound crazy, but I almost feel like my attention, it's harder for me to hold it now than it was before. I don't know, maybe because I don't have that rhythm going as I had before. Like I've even started doing a morning vlog that I have on YouTube. Today I did number 141. So technically I've done 141, but I've been doing it for 142 days because that day everybody was supposed to take a day off from electronics for Black Lives Matter. I took my day off. So, and I live with a black woman, so there you go. She would have said, hey man, what are you doing? So I go, oh, sorry, I'm cutting it off, so, but I kid. But nonetheless, yeah, so it's been kind of different. You'd think I'd be more productive, but, and I'm going in ebb and flows too. There's like, right now I'm really in a good jag for working. But who knows? I might find books and movies to watch in the next few days. Okay, influences. Film is a big influence on me. And every cartoonist is what was it? Will Eisner said is a sequential artist, and essentially they're storyboards, and we're doing little films on paper, and that's doing the story arc and everything. So yeah, films can be in a sense an influence. Other artists are, and lots of books. So reading it influences me. Um, Music influences me. I know it sounds odd. I still play music. It's now more of a hobby, and but I'd say more so films and books, and then yeah, other cartoonists. I'm really digging a lot of the younger cartoonists that are coming up right now. So a lot of them are my friends now and peers, and it's real exciting. It's an exciting time. Question: how we consume comics. I flirt with putting. I have my son talked me into getting an iPad, and I have Procreate on there. So, and let me tell you, for someone from my generation who's never been that computer savvy, it's really, I've had to think differently on when I use it, and I still don't feel natural with it. But I am having fun. I'm not going to lie. But seeing that and all the cartoons and comics that are coming out now online, it's really refreshing. I mean, it's fun because, as you said, it's the world is right there. I can just click on it and there it is, and I can see just get overwhelmed. The other end of it though is and I'm not saying it's the new people. I'm talking about human beings in general. I do feel it's kind of overkill now. I think the majority of people are playing to this platform, to social media, constantly checking how many people have liked my picture of a taco I just drew or whatever, and blah 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 blah. And I'm noticing attention spans seem like they're getting shorter. I was a sociology major, by the way. So and just riding my bike around town, and I'm watching people driving, and just the impatience, and I don't know, I think it all ties in, but that's my theory. And so I think there's pluses and minuses. I do like the whole global aspect. I've gotten turned on to so many things from a lot of the even cartoonists my age and older that might have been hip to something, and I've turned other people on to, just from comic strips, from gear to use, programs, techniques, all that kind of stuff. So there's a place for it. There's definitely a place for it. But I feel it's just taken over people's lives. Like I try to treat my phone. I just have a cell phone. I don't have a landline, but I try to treat my cell phone like a landline. I just leave it. And I often forget it. So I'm gonna miss a lot of calls, but nonetheless. Okay, the current stuff I'm working on. Okay, I've got the ongoing graphic novel, which is I wrote originally. This is embarrassing, probably 8 or 9 years ago, and been working on it almost that whole time. But at one point, I lost my hard drive died, so I lost the whole thing. So I decided to rewrite it, and it was 600 pages, and I was like, man, I don't feel like drawing 600 pages, like 6 panels a page. I'd have grandkids probably doing it at that point to finish it. So, yeah, so I actually edited it down to about 250, and it's more than halfway done, but I've already decided to change the beginning. So that's how I am. It's about, in the mid 80s, I was a musician. I was drawing part-time, but I was actually a traveling musician. And the guy's band I was in, he ended up passing away. And we were based out of San Francisco. And it got to the point one year where I couldn't rent an apartment because as soon as I get a place 3 weeks later, he'd be like, ah, man, we're on the road for 2 months. I'm like, oh, God damn it. So I was doing the sofa circuit. But anyway, so when he died, I ended up being at a friend's house, and suddenly I wasn't on the road. I was playing a couple of local gigs, but not enough to make a living. So I got a job at a Tenderloin hotel as a maintenance man and a janitor. And then my friend wanted me to move out because it's getting a little old having me there. So I just got done help refurbishing a room with a bathroom in it and everything. So I rented a room in a hotel, and I lived there for 15 months. And the mid 80s, so it was when this new drug called crack was coming in, and all sorts of stuff. And I watched just the whole plateau change. The graphic novel, like I said, it was written almost 10 years ago. It's been worked on for 8 years, though I lost it at one point. I lost all of it and had to rewrite it. Then I usually don't talk about this, but I've been better about it. But then I got sick about 5 or 6 years ago. I can't remember now. 5 years ago, I got diagnosed with cancer. So I have, I got part of my pancreas cut out and all that, and I survived, but I had a year of recuperating, and I didn't work. I was living in a weird place too. I didn't work on anything. So anyway, it's been a long hill, long uphill climb to do this, but it takes place in the Tenderloin in the mid '80s. And as I said, I was a maintenance man and a janitor. And oh man, it was just basically like prison without the guards and no bars. It was just crazy. And I watched and kept copious notes of the tenants that lived there. Since it was the mid '80s, a lot of the old men had been living there since World War II, which was only at that time maybe 40 years prior, 30 years, 40 years prior. So they were all old guys by this point, but they all rotated back, to the United States and from wherever they were from. And San Francisco is where they landed, and they stayed, and they were living in the hotel, and the stories. And just there was a lot of craziness. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of humor too. There's a lot of funny stuff too. So that's what it's about. And it's called Turk Street Serenade. I hope to have it done, at least in a few months, if not a little longer. But then we have to go through all the editing process and stuff. But I mean, at least to have it actually done, because I already have 2 more lined up I want to do. And then between those, I'm doing my comic book, my ongoing Tortilla, which is just little short stories. And lately it's been more and more about my past, my childhood. And the next one has one from when I was 7 years old. And then the story I'm working on now was the last punk band I was in. And the 1985 and the democratic method of when we go on the road, we had a van and there was no sound system. We had a boom box. So it was like, who got the votes? Tape got to go first. And I was always, because it was me and our road guy, but 3 other punks, and they had always played either hair metal or, MDC, DRI, Black Flag, whatever. And they hated me because I'd play stuff like Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life. The last straw for them was when I had Little Beaver on there doing Party Down. Who I love that guy. But they just couldn't hang. And you could almost hear the collective sigh when, so it's Jaime's turn. They're like, oh, it's just funny. We're in a real unique time, as you know. And how I see it changing culture, I'm noticing things. I mean, I live literally right next to East Oakland, so we're in Oakland all the time. And I'm noticing, with just for starters, the street art. Now there's always been pieces and tagging and placazos and whatnot, but I'm noticing more and more now things are being more politicized and social as well. There's being more message art, and it's becoming less tags and more art with a message. So I'm seeing a lot of that. And we're also in, I think, a renaissance or quite a point with comics as well, especially with people of color. I was just mentioning this to Lawrence Lindell, who picked me for one, or all of us, picked us for the Baileys. He has this local thing, and he picked me as the first guy, which I was very honored. Because it's funny, I know for a fact on there, it's like they had the youngest person on there, and I know I'm the oldest. So it's like in all points in between. And I am coming up on that too. I've been telling people, now I'm starting to kind of hit things that are ageist, like I'm encountering ageist things against me. So it's, if I need just one more thing, but nonetheless though, with those guys, I'm seeing a lot of the younger people of color, queer people, trans, non-binary. I'm trying to, I don't know all the terms. I'm trying to learn, but it's real exciting because these voices you heard minimally in the past. They were there. They've always been there. We've all been here, but it's just when you're hearing them. So now, especially with the people of color, I don't feel as alone anymore. Because when I, say 30, 35 years ago, Mario Hernandez said it best. He goes, yeah, me and my brothers, we were doing the alternative stuff, and then you were doing the underground stuff, and that's it. You know what I mean? Who else? I go, I didn't know them. If they were there, I didn't know them. So it's now more voices are being heard. So I don't know if that answers the question, but that's where I think the future is going, along with electronics. So I think it's expanding more, and it's filling more spots and more, voices to be heard, because it is a complicated thing. So,